What's going on, guys? B. Scott here with you. And on today's show, we got your waiver wire heading in to week number 11. Week number 10 is almost in the books. We got a Monday Night Football game between the Rams and the 49ers. And on today's show, it's going to be a little bit of a lack of an intro. I'm obviously out traveling at the moment, not in the studio, so I'm just going to dive right into it. But before we get to today's content, don't forget, like the video, subscribe, share, thumb bell, all that good stuff, and then comment. If there's a player I don't mention, because I'm not going to mention a lot of them, I got a couple players at each position. If there's one you want to hear more about, drop in the comment section. I'll be glad to give you my opinion. So let's start at the top, the quarterback position. No cuts today. It's straight, surefire information. We got to start with Cam Newton. 2 touchdowns yesterday. Barely touched the ball. Found the end zone twice. And you're looking at a guy there already talks about him getting the first team reps going forward. The opportunities of his rushing ability and his rushing floor, honestly, it's probably going to hurt Christian McCaffrey a little bit. But I like Cam Newton going forward as a potential, low-end QB1, a guy that's going to have a safe floor. His matchups, they kind of shape out too. Washington football team, at the Miami Dolphins. Then they go on by, they got the Atlanta Falcons. So that's 3 defenses that can be susceptible at times. So I like Cam Newton as a potential quarterback to be picking up and rostering going into the playoffs and on the home stretch of the fantasy football season. So another guy I like, Justin Fields, coming out of a bye week. Back-to-back strong fantasy performances. He's at nearly 40 rushing yards in 4 straight games, and he's playing very well, and he's just getting better and better as the weeks go on. And that Chicago Bears defense, it's not getting any better. It's been pretty poor, so I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for points on any given week for Justin Fields. And the matchups coming up, the Baltimore Ravens at the Detroit Lions, and then he's got the Arizona Cardinals. So Justin Fields, a definite guy that I would be looking at picking up, rostering going into the playoffs, a guy that could potentially be filling your bye weeks on the couple bye weeks left. Still some big name players looking at bye. So let's start at the running back position. A couple running backs I like. Deontay Foreman, 11 carries for 30 yards, 2 catches, 48 yards. Out-touched Adrian Peterson. And looking at going forward, we know Adrian Peterson's age and what he has in the tank, if anything left. Deontay Foreman, I don't necessarily love him as an ad, but I actually like him as a possible stream option this week. He's got a good matchup playing the Houston Texans. And obviously he's going to be on the lower end, but if you were a team that had Aaron Jones as your stud and he's looking at missing some time, a lot of these key running backs that have been hurt. Daryl Williams, if you were riding him and CEH comes back next week, can you start him again? I mean, who knows? There's a lot of question marks. But Deontay Foreman, I think going forward, will have some low-end value, low-end flex appeal. And if you need him in a pinch as your RB2 in a deeper league, I think he's a good option. It's looking like he's going to probably take over the role with AP there. AP will probably mix and match still for a few carries in the red zone, obviously, but Deontay Foreman looks the more explosive player and is going to see more value and volume, and I like him this week, especially against Houston Texans. So another guy, Randre Stevenson, outstanding day, 20 carries, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 catches for 14 yards, and we've already talked about this. Randre Stevenson's shown good plays at times, honestly, was the preseason hero. Absolutely blew up the preseason, 4 or 5 touchdowns, I want to say. And it was just a matter of time. Obviously, Damian Harris misses the game. Randre Stevenson gets the load, and you see what he can do with it. He's a very explosive player. Now, it's Monday. Damian Harris, there are already talks of him, supposedly, if they did practice today, because they play on a short week, that he would have missed practice. This is not good for a guy that's in the concussion protocol still. So you might still get one more solid week of Randre Stevenson. And on top of that, going forward, I hope they don't necessarily split this down the middle, but you could see Randre Stevenson playing a lot more. He's explosive. He's an explosive player, so that's why. And at the Atlanta Falcons, it's a good matchup. So obviously, Randre Stevenson, a guy you should be picking up and rostering. Potential RB2 start this week, especially if Damian Harris is out. So let's talk about a couple of wide receivers that I like. Marcus Johnson on the Tennessee Titans, only because Julio got placed on IR. The Tennessee Titans are going to need to throw the ball a little bit. That running game is not necessarily that strong. So, and A.J. Brown is the only receiving option. You can see it. Double teams all over the place. He's not going to see that big target volume that we hope of 10-plus targets. So if Marcus Johnson's going to take that little relief, he had a good day, 6 targets, 5 catches, 100 yards for the Tennessee Titans. So he's a potential wide receiver that you could go out and pick up. You never know what could happen. He could really turn it on strong. Maybe this is just a fluke game. Who knows? But it's an option that if you need a wide receiver, he's a good one to have. And then, obviously, Rashad Bateman, owned in 50% of Yahoo leagues at the moment on the dot. And every single week, he's seen an improvement. 6 targets in back-to-back in his first 2 games, 8 targets in back-to-back games, going right now, 6 catches, 80 yards. We know that the Baltimore Ravens have struggled mightily running the football. They have the oldest running back core in the National Football League, and it's not a great one. So they are throwing the ball at a more higher rate, and the defense isn't that strong. So Rashad Bateman should be owned. I mean, he's a low end wide receiver 2 high and wide receiver 3 at the moment, just based on his production so far. And who knows, it could get even stronger as he builds rapport with Lamar Jackson. So Rashad Bateman is a guy that's got to be owned. I mean, a lot of people still don't have him on their team, so you got to be picking up Rashad Bateman. Let's get to a couple tight ends you should obviously be picking up this week. Dan Arnold, 7 targets, 5 catches, 67 yards, 3 straight games with 60-plus yards. That's good for the tight end position. I mean, I'll take that any given day of the week. You look, Hawkinson donutted, so 7 targets in 3 straight games for Dan Arnold, and he's just been targeted very heavily since he's joined the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Dan Arnold should be owned, a guy that's literally returning, tight end 1 numbers on the lower end, probably 8 to 10. He's going to give you every single week, and if he can find the end zone, that's where you're going to see that he can break through into that top 5 potential. The touchdown's got to come though, so I'm not necessarily promising that, but he's had plenty of production so far. So Dan Arnold's got to be picked up and rostered. And then Cole Kmet, I like him this week as a stream option. 8 targets before the bye week, 6 catches, 87 yards. He's had 5+ targets in 4 straight games. And Baltimore gives up a ton of fantasy points, the second most fantasy points to the tight end position. So this week, Cole Kmet is a great stream option, especially against the Baltimore Ravens. So let's talk about some defenses. There's a lot of good defenses to stream this week, ones that just aren't owned at a high percentage. San Francisco 49ers, they're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, give up the most fantasy points, period, to defenses. I mean, they just do. So San Francisco 49ers, albeit haven't been necessarily strong playing, but it's a good spot. You can stream them this week. Also, the Miami Dolphins back-to-back great performances. And they get the New York Jets, who, the great Mike White threw 4 interceptions against Buffalo Bills. Not surprising. But the Miami Dolphins, a definite option. They're getting healthier, and you're seeing it. Played very good defense over the last couple weeks. So, and the Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. Tennessee getting after the quarterback. It's plain and simple. You see it. So, Tennessee against the Houston Texans, a good spot for them. And then the Carolina Panthers playing the Washington football team. Washington football team beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Pretty surprising, obviously. Incredible win for the Washington football team. Honestly, kept Tom Brady on the sidelines for over 10 minutes in the fourth quarter to pull out that victory. Just a great, outstanding win, but they lost some key pieces on that defense. And Carolina's been playing very, very well, especially on the defense side of the football. So Carolina defense, all these defenses I want to say are owned under 50%. So these are all defensive great options heading into week number 11. So that's it. That's my short rundown of the players that I like this week on the waiver wire. And once again, if you like the video, don't forget, subscribe, share, thumb bell, all that good stuff, and then comment. If there's a player I didn't mention, because I didn't mention a lot of players, drop in the comment section. I'll be glad to give you my opinion, my advice on whether you should be rostering him or not. So for the first 4 downs, it's been B. Scott, and I'm out.